You are being lied to every single day. And the most dangerous part is that the lie feels comfortable. You've been taught subtly and repeatedly that if your dream is good enough, someone will notice. That if your intention is pure enough, support will arrive. That if you just keep your head down and work hard, the world will eventually meet you halfway. But that belief is not just wrong, it is fatal to your potential. Because the truth, raw, cold, and unromantic, is this: nobody is coming. Nobody is going to fight for your dream the way it needs to be fought for. And if you don't understand this early enough, your dream will die quietly while you're still busy being polite. You wake up each day assuming people want the best for you. You assume encouragement means alignment. You assume silence means neutrality. But the world doesn't work that way. Most people don't oppose your dream openly. They do something far more effective. They ignore it. They doubt it. They wait for you to fail so they can feel safe about their own small lives. And you, without realizing it, begin outsourcing belief. You begin waiting for permission. You begin negotiating with time as if time is your ally. It's not. Time is neutral at best, hostile at worst. And while you hesitate, it erodes your courage grain by grain. Jim Rohn once said that the major reason for setting a goal is for what it makes of you to accomplish it. But here's the darker truth beneath that sentence: your dream is not just a destination, it's a battlefield. And every day you don't show up ready to fight, something inside you weakens. Discipline fades. Self-respect leaks. You become easier to influence, easier to distract, easier to control. And that is exactly how systems are designed. Not to crush you all at once, but to slowly convince you that your dreams were unrealistic to begin with. You tell yourself you'll start when conditions are right, when money is stable, when support is stronger, when confidence magically appears. But confidence does not precede action. Confidence is a byproduct of violence against your own excuses. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. But you were never taught that. You were taught comfort. You were taught safety. You were taught to avoid pain at all costs. And in doing so, you were taught to avoid greatness. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Your dream threatens people, not because it's loud, but because it's honest. Your willingness to pursue something meaningful exposes the compromises others have made. And most people cannot tolerate that mirror. So they discourage you in subtle ways. They call you unrealistic. They suggest backup plans. They ask polite questions that carry hidden doubt. And if you're not psychologically armored, you mistake that doubt for wisdom. You start shrinking your vision to make others comfortable. You start editing your ambition so it fits the room. And in that moment, the dream doesn't die dramatically. It suffocates. Machiavelli warned that anyone who tries to reform the world will face enemies from those who profit from the old order, and only lukewarm defenders from those who might benefit from the new. Read that again. Lukewarm defenders. That means even the people who stand to gain from your success won't fight for it, because fighting requires risk, and risk exposes character. So if you're waiting for unanimous support, you are waiting to lose. This is why Jim Rohn emphasized personal responsibility with almost brutal clarity. He understood that motivation is not something you receive. It is something you generate under pressure. He knew that if you don't take full ownership of your dream, someone else will gladly take ownership of your time. And they won't use it to build your vision. They'll use it to reinforce theirs. Look around. Society rewards obedience disguised as stability. It praises consistency even when consistency is meaningless. It celebrates being busy instead of being effective. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse movement with progress. You'll exhaust yourself climbing ladders leaning against the wrong walls. And at the end, you'll call it fate instead of what it really was: fear. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Your dream requires a version of you that does not yet exist. And that version cannot be created through comfort. It must be forged slowly, violently, through repetition, failure, and self-confrontation. This is why most people quit early. Not because the dream is too hard, but because the transformation required is too uncomfortable. They don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they refuse to become ruthless with their own weaknesses. You say you want freedom, but you negotiate with discipline. You say you want success, but you protect your ego from failure. You say you want meaning, but you numb yourself with distraction. And every time you do that, you vote against your future self. Jim Rohn warned that we must all suffer one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons, yet people still choose regret because it's delayed. It feels abstract. Discipline feels immediate. And the human mind is wired to avoid immediate discomfort, even if it leads to long-term destruction. This is where dark psychology enters the conversation. Your brain is not your ally by default. It is an efficiency machine, not a truth machine. It will choose the familiar over the meaningful every time. It will rationalize stagnation. It will call fear being realistic. And if you don't consciously override it, your life will be designed by default settings you never chose. Think about this. Every great achievement in history required someone to act before certainty. The Stoics didn't wait to feel brave. They acted according to principle. Machiavelli didn't romanticize morality. He understood power dynamics. And Jim Rohn didn't sugarcoat success. He told you plainly, if you don't like how things are, change. You are not a tree. But here's the part most people miss. Changing means confrontation with habits, with people, with identities that no longer serve you. And confrontation has consequences. People will misunderstand you. Some will leave. Some will mock. Some will secretly hope you fail so they don't have to question their own choices. This is the tax of ambition. And if you're not willing to pay it, your dream is already over. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. The longer you delay fighting for your dream, the harder it becomes to recognize yourself. Compromise is addictive. You tell yourself it's temporary, just for now, just until things improve. But just for now becomes years. And one day you wake up successful on paper and empty inside. You followed the rules. You did what was expected. And somehow you lost something you can't name. That something is alignment. The quiet confidence that comes from knowing you honored your own vision. Jim Rohn believed that success is something you attract by the person you become. But becoming that person requires relentless honesty. You must admit when you're distracted, when you're lazy, when you're hiding. And that honesty hurts because it removes excuses. It strips you naked in front of your own potential. And most people would rather live with comforting lies than confront uncomfortable truths. This is why nobody else will fight for your dream, because it demands sacrifices they are not willing to make. It demands discipline they don't want to adopt. It demands solitude they fear. So they'll cheer from the sidelines if you're winning and disappear the moment you struggle. And that's not cruelty. That's human nature. Understanding it doesn't make you bitter. It makes you prepared to build without applause, prepared to work in silence, prepared to be misunderstood for long periods of time, prepared to choose progress over validation. This is the mindset shift Jim Rohn was pointing toward. Not motivation as hype, but motivation as self-command. The ability to say, I will do what must be done, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Your dream is not just about you. And that's why failing it carries weight. When you quit on your dream, you teach the people watching, your children, your peers, your younger self, that surrender is acceptable. You normalize mediocrity. You turn survival into a philosophy. And that is how cultures decay. Not through catastrophe, but through quiet resignation. The Stoics believed in living according to virtue, not outcome. Fighting for your dream is an act of virtue because it aligns your actions with your values. Whether you succeed or not is secondary. What matters is that you didn't betray yourself, that you didn't outsource your life to fear, that you didn't die with your music still inside you. Jim Rohn often said that income rarely exceeds personal development, meaning your outer world is a reflection of your inner discipline. If your life feels small, it's not punishment, it's feedback. And feedback is an invitation to raise your standards, to demand more from yourself than you do from others, to stop waiting for the world to validate what you already know in your bones. This fight is not glamorous. It's repetitive. It's lonely. It's waking up when you don't feel like it. It's saying no to distractions that everyone else says yes to. It's choosing long-term respect over short-term pleasure. And it's doing it again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. This is not motivation. This is identity. But there's a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. If you don't fight for your dream, you will eventually fight to justify why you didn't. You will build elaborate stories to protect your ego. You will blame circumstances. You will criticize those who try. You will become cynical. And cynicism is the final defense mechanism of a defeated mind. It feels intelligent. It sounds sophisticated, but it is nothing more than unprocessed regret. Jim Rohn warned against this subtle decay. He understood that life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. And change is violent to the status quo. It disrupts routines. It challenges relationships. It forces decisions. And decisions reveal character. So let me ask you something uncomfortable. If nobody ever claps for you, will you still fight? If nobody understands you, will you still move forward? If it takes longer than you hoped, will you still persist? Because these are not hypothetical questions. They are guarantees. And your answer will determine whether your dream becomes reality or remains a fantasy you revisit in moments of quiet regret. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Your dream is training you. Every obstacle is conditioning your mind for the level you're trying to reach. Every delay is testing your commitment. Every failure is refining your strategy. And if you quit early, you don't just lose the outcome, you lose the transformation. You remain the same person with the same limitations, just older and more cautious. Jim Rohn believed that success is not to be pursued, it is to be attracted by the person you become. But becoming that person requires patience most people don't have and courage most people avoid. It requires accepting that the early stages are thankless. That progress is invisible. That growth is silent. And that is why most people stop. They confuse silence with failure. Silence is where power accumulates. Seeds grow underground. Muscles grow during rest, and character is forged when no one is watching. This is the work. And this is why it feels lonely, because it is. And it must be. If everyone understood your vision, it wouldn't be visionary. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. One day, whether you like it or not, you will look back. And in that moment, there will be only two questions that matter. Did you fight? And did you stay true? Everything else, money, status, approval, will feel secondary. Because deep down, you already know what you're capable of. And betraying that knowledge is the heaviest regret a human being can carry. So fight. Not with anger, with discipline. Not with desperation, with clarity. Fight for your dream when it's inconvenient. Fight when you're tired. Fight when doubt whispers that it's too late. Because the only thing worse than failing is never trying with full force. Jim Rohn's message was never about motivation in the shallow sense. It was about responsibility, radical ownership. The understanding that if you don't design your life, someone else will. And they won't consult your dreams when they do it. This is your moment of choice. Not a dramatic one, a quiet one. The kind you make when you close this video. Will you return to comfort, or will you step in the discomfort that growth demands? Will you wait for permission? Or will you grant it to yourself? Because nobody else will fight for your dream the way it needs to be fought for. And the moment you truly accept that is the moment you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the architect of your life. You are being lied to every single day. And the most dangerous part is that the lie feels comfortable.